The name of this video is IPO Drivers and PyDrivers Blender 2.49b Tutorial. With basic Blender animation, you can create keyframes at different frames in your animation, and then Blender's IPO system fills in the blanks. The technical term is interpolates, values for the frames in between. Sometimes you might want to base a particular part of the animation of one object, such as its location, rotation, or size, on the action of another object. This is where IPO drivers come into play. For even more sophisticated control, you can create a Python expression to do some really wild things. The purpose of this video is to introduce you both to IPO drivers and Python drivers, aka PyDrivers, that you can really spice up your animations. So first, let's start up Blender. We're going to keep the default cube. We're going to add Suzanne above the cube and get rid of the 3D transform widget, which gets in the way of this demonstration. Go to the Setup menu and choose SR1 Animation. The animation setup is very convenient for animation. It consists of an outline window on the extreme left, a 3D window on the middle, and an IPO curve editor on the right. Additionally, there's a timeline window under the 3D window, an IPO curve editor window, and a buttons window at the bottom. Let's animate the monkey's movement along the x-axis. We'll set the length of the animation to 50 frames by sending the end frame to 50. We're at frame 1. So insert a loc keyframe by pressing the I key and selecting LOC. Move to frame 50. Note how the vertical green line in the IPO window moves to frame 50 as well. Move the monkey 5 Blender units to the right. Then press the I key and select loc. Note that a curve is generated in the IPO window. We can't see all of it. To see all of it, from the View menu of the IPO curve editor, select All. Alternatively, you could have pressed the Home key. Interestingly, there are 3 curves that were created, corresponding to loc X, loc Y, and loc Z. Left-click on loc X. The highlighted curve is a curvy line from 0 to about 5, corresponding to the Blender units on the X-axis for the monkey's position. There are 2 dots that represent the endpoints of the curve at frames 1 and 50. You place the monkey at specific X locations on frame 1 and frame 50. Blender interpolates, in what's called a Bezier interpolation, the monkey's location for the frames in between. The monkey speeds up in the smaller frames, goes relatively constant, until the last 10 frames or so, where the monkey slows down. An alternative interpolation is called linear. In this case, the monkey's speed is constant. Actually, Bezier is a more realistic type of interpolation. Feel free to experiment. To change to linear, select Curve Interpolation Mode Linear from the IPO editor window. Press Alt-Shift-A to animate, which animates no matter where the cursor happens to be. Now the speed of the monkey is constant. Press Escape to end the animation. Left-click on loc Y. The monkey's Y location stays at roughly 3 Blender units for the entire animation. Let's change that in the IPO Curves editor. To do that, select loc Y, press Tab to go into edit mode. We're going to change the end Y location of the monkey. Right-click to select the endpoint. Press the G key. Left-click and drag about 5 Blender units, giving the Bezier curve in the Y direction. Press Shift-Alt-A to animate. Now the monkey goes up in the Y direction as well as across in the X direction. Press Escape to end the animation. The loc Z curve was also created. The Z position of the monkey stays at 0 no matter where we are. You won't see the Z location change in top view because we're looking down in the negative Z direction. Press Num1 to go into front view. This time we'll make the monkey jump up and down. Press Tab to go into edit mode. We'll change the loc Z by adding a point on the curve. To do this, position the cursor about halfway between the beginning and the end and press Ctrl left-click. This creates a new point. Press the G key and drag the curve up 3 Blender units. Press Alt-Shift-A to animate. The monkey jumps up and down. Press Escape to end the animation. Great, we've animated the monkey in 3 dimensions. Now suppose we want to make another object, like the cube, follow the monkey. If you shift left click on Loc X, Loc Y, and Loc Z in the curves editor, you'll see that our animation is a bit complicated to copy. Select the cube. Trying to copy these curves is tedious. Also, if we change the monkey's animation, we'd have to redo the cube's animation. Very quickly, I think we'd give up. This is where IPO drivers come into play. We want the cube to follow the monkey in the X direction no matter where the monkey goes. To do that, select the Loc X channel, that's the technical name, in the IPO curves editor. We're going to add a driver. Click the Add Driver button. In the OB area, select the name of the monkey mesh, Suzanne, and observe the capitalization. There are 9 possible channels that can drive the cube. Select Loc X. Note the dotted rectangle icon representing a driven Loc X channel. Press Alt-Shift-A to animate. See how the cube follows the monkey across. With a PyDriver, we can get even more cute. Suppose we want the cube to follow at only half the speed of the monkey in the X direction. Press the N key in the IPO curves window, which brings up the Transform Properties window. Press the little snake icon. I guess that's a Python. You can enter a Python expression. In this case, you have to enter it exactly. It's OB, left parenthesis, double quote, Suzanne, initial cap with the S, close double quote, right paren, dot, capital L, small OC, capital X divided by 2. So that'll be divided by 2 will be half the value of the Loc X. I'll annotate it in the video, and it'll also be on my blog, so you'll have the exact formula. Make sure you enter this exactly. Otherwise, Python will give you an error message. Press Alt-Shift-A to animate. Note that the cube is only going half as fast as Suzanne in the X direction. Press Num7 to go to top view. Press Alt-Shift-A to animate. The animation works the same way in top view. This would not be possible with a simple IPO driver. You can animate multiple objects. Try doing a monkey race with different denominators for each monkey's speed relative to other monkeys. You can animate also rotation and scale, so imagine the possibilities. And additionally, this animation can be used in the game engine as your aliens and monsters fight each other. I hope this has given you some ideas about how to animate your Blender projects. If you like this, click the big subscribe button in YouTube so you won't miss any of my Blender tutorials. Happy Blendering!